So, are your sales calls feeling a little more like, well, monologues than actual conversations? Let's fix that. In this explainer, we are going to completely change how you think about sales discovery. The goal? To turn you from someone just pushing a product into a problem solver they can't live without. This right here, this is the single most important rule in sales. And you know what? It's the one that gets broken all the time. Look, prospects don't buy your cool features. They buy solutions to their very real problems. So your job isn't to present, it's to diagnose. If you get that right, I promise you, everything else just kind of falls into place. All right, here's our game plan. First, we're going to talk about a big mindset shift. Then we'll dive right into uncovering pain and building trust, which is huge. From there, we'll connect that pain to a vision, help guide the final decision, and then we'll wrap up with the toolkit every expert needs. Okay, first up, we have to get beyond the pitch. This is a massive shift in thinking. Your discovery call should feel less like a presentation and a whole lot more like a consultation with an expert. It's all about asking, not telling. It's about diagnosing, not demonstrating. And this brings us right back to that golden rule. Think like a doctor. I mean, seriously, a good doctor would never just hand you a prescription without a thorough diagnosis, right? Of course not. That would be malpractice. And in sales, prescribing your solution without truly understanding the problem, well, it's just as reckless. You have to be the expert, the one who guides the conversation to a deep understanding of the real issue before you even think about your product. So, now that we've got our diagnose-first mindset locked in, let's get into the how. This whole section is about the diagnosis itself. We're going to break down the first 3 steps for uncovering problems, not just the obvious ones, but the hidden ones too, all while building that critical foundation of trust. Okay, so these 3 are really the pillars of your diagnosis. You're going to start broad with some open-ended engagement. Then you start looking for what we call latent pain. These are the tricky problems they might not even realize they have yet. And finally, you dig into active pain, the stuff that's causing them headaches right now. Let's break each one down. Step 1 is really all about setting the stage and just building some rapport. You are not selling here, not at all. You're just getting the lay of the land with open-ended questions like this one. You want to understand their world, What are their priorities? What's on their mind? Now, in step 2, you start to gently probe for those hidden issues. This is that latent pain we talked about, the problems that your prospect hasn't really put into words yet, maybe not even to themselves. A question just like this one, it cracks open the door to those frustrations that have been simmering under the surface. And that's often where the real opportunity is. So once you've found a problem, whether it was latent or just sitting there in plain sight, it's time for step 3, digging into that active pain. The goal here is simple. You need to understand the immediate fallout. How is this problem causing friction right now? How's it hitting their team, their customers, and their ability to get things done? Okay, you've uncovered the pain. Now what? This next part is absolutely crucial. It's about making that pain real, like tangible, and then pivoting the conversation from the problem to the possibility of a much, much better future. This is where you connect all the dots for them. And that brings us to step 4, quantify the impact. You have to translate their frustration into a cold, hard number. You can ask questions like, what do you think the estimated cost of this problem is to your bottom line? Putting a number on it, like this $50,000 per quarter, suddenly makes the problem real, urgent, and totally impossible to ignore. As soon as that cost is crystal clear, you can shift to step 5, envisioning the solution. Now you can guide them from their current reality of, revenue loss and wasted time over to an ideal future. Ask something like, so, in a perfect world, what would a solution to this actually look like for you? See what we did there? You're still not talking about your product's features. You're working with them to create a vision of the outcome they desperately want. All right, we've diagnosed the problem, we've put a number on the impact, and we've painted a beautiful vision of the solution. The final piece of this whole conversation is all about guiding that prospect toward a decision, helping them move forward with confidence and total clarity. So, step 6 is all about understanding how they make decisions. And let's be clear, the questions you ask here are not about pushing for a close. They're about uncovering what they truly need to feel confident and secure in their choice. You're basically building a path forward together by figuring out who the key players are, what their deal breakers are, and what a win really looks like for them. Now, this whole framework we just walked through, it's powered by a set of personal skills.
It's not just about asking the right questions, It's about how you show up in that conversation. So let's take a look at the 6 essential skills you absolutely need in your toolkit. Okay, this table lays it all out. And honestly, we could spend a whole hour just on this slide, but let's focus on the 2 that are the absolute game changers here. First, authentic curiosity. If you're not genuinely interested in their problems, they will smell it from a mile away. And any trust you've built, poof, it's gone. Second, transparency. This is what builds that unshakable credibility that turns a prospect into a true partner. The other skills are vital, of course. You need situational awareness to read the room, storytelling to connect, but they are all fueled by a real desire to understand and a commitment to being honest. That's what makes you a trusted advisor instead of just another salesperson.
So, I'll leave you with this one big question. After everything we've talked about today, I want you to really honestly ask yourself, are you selling a product or are you solving a problem? Because the answer to that question is going to define your entire career.